$1,000 emergency funds are keeping you broke. Here's what you actually need. There's a question most people don't ask themselves until they're forced to. It usually shows up in a moment that wasn't planned, a phone call you weren't expecting, a bill that's higher than it should be, a job situation that suddenly feels uncertain. And in that moment, everything slows down just enough for one thought to rise to the surface. If my income stopped tomorrow, how long could I actually last? Not in theory, not based on what you hope, but based on what's real. How many months could you cover your life, like your rent or mortgage, your groceries, your utilities, your responsibilities? And for a lot of people, the answer is uncomfortable. Not because they've done something wrong, but because no one ever really taught them how to prepare for that kind of question. We hear phrases like save for emergencies, but what does that actually mean? How much is enough? Where do you even start, especially if money already feels tight? Because the truth is, emergency savings isn't just about a number, it's about something deeper. It's about how stable your life feels when something unexpected happens. One of the most common money questions people ask is simple: how much should I actually have saved? And the answers are usually all over the place. Some people say $1,000 is enough. Others say 3 to 6 months of expenses. Some say even more. And if you're already managing bills, responsibilities, and a full life, those numbers can feel overwhelming, almost discouraging, like you're already behind before you even start. But the real issue isn't that the advice is wrong, it's that the advice is incomplete because emergency savings isn't meant to be one big number you magically reach. It's meant to be built in layers, each layer serving a different purpose, each layer creating a different level of stability. And when you understand those layers, something changes. Saving money stops feeling like this impossible mountain and starts feeling like a process you can actually move through. Before we talk about numbers, it's important to understand what emergencies actually do to people. Because financially, emergencies aren't just about money, they're about pressure. When something unexpected happens, your brain immediately shifts into survival mode. You stop thinking long term, you stop evaluating calmly, you start reacting. How do I fix this right now? How do I cover this? What do I need to do immediately? And in that state, people often make decisions they wouldn't normally make. They reach for credit cards, they take on debt, they borrow from future income, not because they're irresponsible, but because pressure compresses your thinking. It removes space. And space is one of the most valuable things you can have in a financial situation. And that's what emergency savings actually provides. It's not just money, but space. Space to think, space to choose, space to respond instead of react. And once you understand that, the purpose of an emergency fund becomes clearer. It's not about hitting a perfect number. It's about reducing how much pressure an unexpected situation creates in your life. Level one, the don't panic fund. The first layer of emergency savings is what I call the don't panic fund. This is usually around $1,000 to $2,000. And at first, that number might not seem like much, but psychologically, it's powerful because most financial emergencies aren't catastrophic. They're inconvenient. A car battery dies, a tire needs replacing, a medical copay shows up unexpectedly. Your child needs something for school, a small repair comes up at home. These moments aren't life changing, but they're disruptive. And without any savings, they often push people into using credit cards, which quietly turns a small problem into a longer term burden. That's the role of the first layer. It protects you from turning small disruptions into debt. And here's something important to remember: if you can build your first $1,000, you're already ahead of a large percentage of households. Studies have shown that many people can't cover even a $400 emergency without borrowing. So, reaching this level isn't small, it's foundational. It's the moment where your financial life becomes slightly less fragile. Level two, the breathing room fund. The second layer is where things start to feel different. This is your breathing room fund, typically around 1 month of your essential expenses. For many people, that might be somewhere between $4,000 and $7,000. But the exact number isn't what matters most. What matters is what this level provides: time, and time changes everything. Because now, if something unexpected happens, you're not making decisions immediately under pressure. If your job situation shifts, you have space. If you need to travel for a family emergency, you have options. If something interrupts your income temporarily, you're not scrambling the next day. You have time to think, and that's where better decisions come from. People often underestimate how valuable time is in financial situations, but time allows you to compare options, to negotiate, to plan instead of simply reacting. And that shift from reaction to intention is one of the biggest upgrades in financial stability. Level three, the true emergency fund. The third layer is what most people are referring to when they talk about emergency savings. This is your true emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. So, if your household needs $5,000 per month to operate, this level would eventually be somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000. And yes, that number can feel big, especially if you're just starting. But here's the important part, you're not supposed to build this overnight. This level is built slowly, steadily over time because this level isn't about small disruptions. It's about major life events, job loss and extended illness, economic downturns, situations where income is interrupted for longer periods. And what this level provides is something most people don't even realize they're looking for, calm. When you know you could cover your life for several months without income, your relationship with money changes. Work feels different, decisions feel different. You're not operating from fear, you're operating from stability. And that stability creates a kind of quiet confidence that can't be faked. What's interesting about these three levels is that each one changes your behavior. At level one, you stop fearing small disruptions. At level two, you stop rushing decisions. At level three, you stop living in constant financial tension. And each level builds on the previous one. This is why trying to jump straight to 6 months of expenses often feels overwhelming because your brain isn't experiencing the benefits along the way. But when you build it in layers, something shifts. You begin noticing the impact. You feel the difference. And that feeling reinforces the habit, which makes it easier to keep going. At some point, most people realize something important about money. Let the goal isn't just to make more, it's to feel more stable. And because you can increase your income significantly and still feel financially fragile. But when you build layers of protection, even modest income can feel more secure. That's the turning point when you stop viewing savings as restriction and start seeing it as stability, as preparation, as stewardship of your life. Because emergencies aren't theoretical, they happen, not constantly, but consistently enough that preparation matters. And when you're prepared, your life doesn't feel as reactive. It feels more intentional. If you're thinking about building your emergency fund, the most important question isn't how much do I need all at once? That question usually creates pressure. Instead, ask something simpler. What level am I building right now? If you're starting from zero, focus on your first $1,000. That's your foundation. Once that's built, begin working toward 1 month of expenses slowly, consistently, without rushing. Then over time, begin expanding toward 3 to 6 months. Not perfectly, but steadily. And along the way, something interesting happens. Saving becomes less emotional, it becomes part of your rhythm, a quiet habit that builds in the background. And over time, that habit changes how your financial life feels. One of the most powerful shifts in personal finance isn't visible, it's internal. It's the moment where money stops feeling like something that controls your life and starts feeling like something you're prepared for. Emergency savings doesn't make life perfect. Unexpected things will still happen, but it changes how those moments feel. Instead of panic, there's pause. Instead of urgency, there's space. And that space allows you to move through life differently, more calmly, more thoughtfully, more intentionally. So if you're building your emergency fund right now, even slowly, even imperfectly, you're not behind. You're layering stability into your life. And every layer you build makes your future a little less fragile, a little more flexible, and a little more peaceful. Because financial peace isn't built in one big moment, and it's built step by step, layer by layer, decision by decision. And over time, those layers become something incredibly valuable, not just money, but the quiet confidence that you can handle whatever comes next.